right, well, good afternoon, everyone. So grateful to be here today, surrounded by such a broad and diverse coalition of justice seekers, table shakers, and movement builders who have long been behind the fight to see diversity, equity, and inclusion in every corner of our nation. You are unafraid to stand in the gap, to protect marginalized communities who are under assault from Donald Trump and his Republican co-conspirators. And I'm proud to be shoulder to shoulder in this work alongside my colleagues. Though Congressman Jackson couldn't join us today, we're grateful for his leadership as chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Caucus. The Trump administration's unconscionable attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives is an affront to all of us, and just the latest attempt to roll back gains made by marginalized communities. After the Civil War, we had Reconstruction initiatives like the Freedmen's Bureau, and there were former slaveholders who fought to dismantle that progress. During the 1960s, we advanced the Civil Rights Act and affirmative action initiatives, and there were segregationists who tried to destroy that progress. We are now 6 months into this second occupancy of the White House, and all Trump is conducting a wholesale attack on civil rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and anything that benefits marginalized communities. This is truly anti-blackness on steroids. So let's call it what it is. The harms are blunt, so I want to speak directly. This is resegregation. Donald Trump has rescinded executive orders dating back to Lyndon B. Johnson and the 1960s civil rights movement. And in fact, though it received little attention, when I introduced an amendment to ban segregation, all the Republicans in the House Oversight Committee voted against it. Trump and Republicans are trying to force their vision of an emboldened white supremacy as they work to undo centuries of progress that generations of organizers, activists, and lawmakers have fought to achieve. Diversity, meaning all people. Equity, meaning fair access to opportunity. And inclusion, having a pathway to upward mobility to realized dreams. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a nice to have, it is a must have. It is essential. It is essential to ensuring our children, all our children, are afforded a better future than their ancestors were forced to endure. That's why, as Trump attempts to erase Black history, to whitewash our shared American history, and attack intellectual freedom, we pushed forward legislation to make reparations a reality. And we defended our Smithsonian museums to ensure we learn how to overcome systems of oppression and the whims of petulant men thirsty for power. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is essential to federal workers who are working every day to make life better for our nation's most underserved communities. That's why we have fought to protect our federal workforce from Trump's firing frenzy, in which 1 in 5 federal jobs are held by a Black person. And that's why I was proud to introduce the Equity in Government Act to codify into law a whole of government promise to advance equity and to ensure fair and equitable outcomes for everyone in America. The work of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I will say it every time, I will not just use the acronym. We have seen them work actively to vilify critical race theory, CRT, Black Lives Matter, BLM, and now diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. The work of diversity, equity, and inclusion is essential to leaving the world a better place than we found it. Today, we aren't only fighting for diversity, equity, and inclusion, we are fighting for dignity, for justice, for humanity, for progress, for every single person who calls this country home, and our fight is far from finished. Thank you. And now we'll hear from President and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, a tremendous leader, my sister in the struggle and in solidarity, Maya Wiley.
Good afternoon. Well, first, I'm going to thank the powerful and the principled Representative Ayanna Pressley and also Representative Jackson. because we're standing here today because we have principled leaders who are willing to say out loud the things we need to say out loud, which is this is a country that is for all of us, that has values that we all share, no matter our background, our zip code, our bank account, or our country of origin, or our first language.
Right.
That this is a country that has been built on the ideal, that an America that embraces all of us, embraces our diversity, says every last one of us deserves a fair chance and an equal opportunity, that is what makes us strong. That is what makes us America. And standing here at the 75th anniversary of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, which is the nation's oldest and largest civil rights coalition, with leaders who are here leading critically important national organizations that are leading the fight for civil and human rights and basic dignity in this coalition, that we have two things to say. One is we are united and we look like America. The second is we will not go back.
That's right.
We have fought for not just 75 years of the Leadership Conference, but for 400 years for a country that lives up to its ideals. And I want to just give you a few examples of why the Equity in Government Act is so important and why it is exactly as the Congresswoman said about all of us. Because when we are seeing a stroke of a pen that's to a child in a Head Start program who is Latino, you are losing your early childhood because we're firing all your teachers because we think it's diversity, equity, inclusion, and we will add accessibility.
That's right.
When you are a student or a parent of students who have disabilities and have every ability to contribute to this country, and you're being told you will lose your services because we no longer want to understand how to teach to you, how to teach to those who can contribute. That is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and 70 million Americans identify as a person with a disability.
That's right.
And when we hear about the cuts to our research grants, I want to tell you about a young man, the son of a single mom, who got an education through a Pell Grant. Remember those? Because they cutting those, y'all. A Pell Grant that helped him go to college at a state university in North Carolina, landed in Johns Hopkins, getting a PhD thanks to a government grant. And his research as a first-generation college and graduate student was cut. You know why? Because it was diversity, equity, and inclusion. Do you know who he was? A young white man from Appalachia. So when we say it's coming for all of us, understand that what Black Americans have done for democracy in this country, what civil rights has done for democracy in this country and for everyone, is to say, while we will not go back as a Black people, we understand that our struggle and the ideals of this country that we helped build are exactly what protects all of us. And so I will stop there and just say this last thing. Democracy is not a promise. It is an obligation. And this group of leaders is not going back on our promise that this democracy will be diverse, will be equitable, will be inclusive, and will be accessible. And to that, yeah.
Thank you.
And I have a great pleasure of introducing the leader of one of our coalition on diversity, equity, and inclusion, Mark Morial, the president of the powerful National Urban League.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I only need to say amen and ashe. Thank you, Maya. Congresswoman, we are honored to stand with you, and I'm excited for your forceful leadership on this issue. Just relevant to the moment, I'm Mark Morial. I lead the National Urban League. We're 115 years old, one of the nation's historic civil rights and an urban advocacy organization. We operate in 93 cities across the nation, 36 states and the District of Columbia. But also relevant to the moment is I served 8 years as the mayor of my beloved hometown, New Orleans. And as such, I was born in a segregated hospital in a segregated city. For some, the notion of segregation is a memory, or it is something of documentaries, news clips, and books. For me, I have vivid memories of being a 5- and 6-year-old, going to various public places with my mother, and being told by her, we will not use the bathroom here because the bathroom says for colored only. The idea, as Congresswoman Pressley has identified, that we could go back to that type of America should alarm every single American today. When you listen to the conversation and the rhetoric, and you dig into the policies that are being undertaken, what is really at stake in America today is a concerted, well-funded effort to repeal the progress of the last 70 years. Brown versus Board, the Civil Rights Act of '64, the Voting Rights Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act, Roe v. Wade, the Community Reinvestment Act, and I could go on and on and on. So when we say the word diversity, equity, and inclusion, those words are rooted in the values of America, rooted in the idea that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, rooted in the words that are emblazoned above that building, the Supreme Court over there, where it says equal justice under law, rooted in the words that appear on every coin, e pluribus unum, out of many we form one nation and one American democracy. So I'm here today to stand up to this effort to turn the hands of time back, to join in proactive legislation, which is really about American values. To smear diversity, equity, and inclusion is to smear the values upon which this country was formed. It is to smear this idea that when we talk about merit, what we really are for is merit for all, not just merit for some. And equal opportunity and diversity, equity, and inclusion are indeed about that. From the beginning, the National Urban League put its mark down by filing suit against the Trump administration's 3 anti-diversity executive orders. We stood up and we've assembled a demand diversity roundtable, working with all of our friends to assert the value proposition of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and equal opportunity. So let the word go forth. We will not be intimidated, we will not be silent, and we will continue to work and fight. On a final note, all publicly available polling, I hope you all will print this, and I hope you'll report this. All publicly available polling places support for diversity, equity, and inclusion from anywhere from 52% to 70%. This anti-diversity movement is not a movement of the majority.
That's right.
It's a movement of an angry group of people who want to divide the nation, who want to turn the hands of time back. We will not let it happen.
Thank you. Okay. All right, and now we'll hear from Juan Prono, that's fine, CEO, the League of United Latin American Citizens, or as we all refer to it, LULAC.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, Congresswoman Pressley, for bringing us together to defend diversity, equity, and inclusion. My name is Juan Proaño, and I'm the CEO of LULAC, the oldest and largest Latino civil rights organization in the United States. I stand here on behalf of the Latino community to say with absolute clarity, DEI is not a buzzword, it is a lifeline for communities like ours who have been who have been historically excluded from full participation in American life. 6 months into this administration, the assault on DEI is in full swing. What we are witnessing is nothing less than a campaign of resegregation, a wholesale attack on civil rights. President Trump has rolled back civil rights protection dating back to Lyndon B. Johnson's era, rescinding executive orders from the 1960s. Let's call it what it is: policy violence targeted at our most marginalized communities. It's truly, as my colleagues have said, anti-blackness on steroids, an affront to all of us, Black, brown, LGBTQ, people with disabilities, all our communities. From the mass firings of dedicated federal workers to the so-called big, ugly bill gutting diversity efforts, the message from the Trump administration has been chillingly clear. They intend to reverse decades of progress. In plain terms, diversity is our strength. We know that systemic equality is real. It is codified in our laws and budgets, and it has harmed underserved communities for generations. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is about eliminating those barriers. These principles are not abstract. They change lives, and the Latino community is living proof. Thanks to DEI-driven policies and hard-fought civil rights gains, the Latino educational attainment has improved dramatically. Our high school dropout rate has plummeted over the past 2 decades. Latino college enrollment has skyrocketed, growing 15-fold since the 1970s. Today, 1 in 5 students enrolled in a 4-year college is Latino. Those numbers didn't rise by accident. They rose because the doors of opportunity were open that had long been closed. We see the impact in the workforce as well. When equitable policies are in place, Latinos have thrived. Prior to these recent rollbacks, we achieved record low unemployment rate of 3.9%, the lowest since records began. The Latino poverty rate, while still all too high, fell from over 25% a decade ago to under 17% in 2022. That is a significant drop, representing millions of Latino families climbing out of poverty. Why did that happen? Because we invested in equity, in education, in job opportunities, and in fair wages. And when Latinos succeed, America succeeds. Inclusion isn't just the right thing to do morally, it's a smart thing to do economically. Right. And let me be clear, all of this progress is now under threat by those who would drag us backwards. We will not go back quietly to the days of discrimination and separate but equal policies. LULAC was founded in 1925 to combat exactly this type of systemic inequality. We fought segregated schools and discriminatory laws then, and we will fight these new attempts at desegregation now. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our colleague, Rob Weissman, co-president of Public Citizen.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Pressley, for your leadership on this and so much more. Every American, no matter their race, their gender, their first language, the country they came from, whom they love, should find the policies of this administration morally abhorrent. Every American should understand, as well as my colleagues have explained, this is not an effort, which would be bad enough, to remove programs to redress historic inequalities. This is a racist, sexist, ableist, anti-LGBTQ policy agenda designed to exacerbate social and economic inequality. And every American should find that abhorrent. Every American should oppose it. And every American should understand this too. the impacts of these policies are harmful for all of us. For all of us. When this administration strips health information from the website of the CDC because they say it contains so-called gender ideology, clinicians treating anyone can't do their job. By the way, we sued over that, and they're putting the website information back up. When this administration shuts down the Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties at the Department of Homeland Security, it's not just that Latinos and other immigrants should be fearful. It's that every American should be fearful of our right to dissent. When this administration enables predatory lending and consumer ripoffs targeting people of color, it's not just those people affected. It's every American, because they're stripping away the protections for all Americans, from credit card company ripoffs, from ripoff banks, from cash checking operations, and more. When this administration uses the excuse, the thinly veiled excuse of fraud, by which they mean black people, to justify stripping health care from 17 million Americans, as they just did in the Tax and Budget Reconciliation Bill, that harms the health of all Americans.
Yeah, that's right.
When they go after environmental justice standards because they say it's targeting specific communities, they're actually inviting polluters to pollute the air and water that all of us breathe and drink. It hurts all Americans. When they undermine equity in the federal workforce, that's not just about making sure everybody has a piece of it. They're actually making it a worse federal workforce, a meritless federal workforce.
Tell it, Rob.
That's right.
Tell it.
They are making America weaker. Weaker. Not just more unjust, but weaker with these policies. And that's why we have to unite, as we are doing, to oppose them. It's why we're going to follow the leadership of the great representative. And there's a lot of work ahead to mitigate the damage that this administration wants to do. Yes, targeting select vulnerable communities, but weakening all of America.
That's right. Thank you all. I want to express my gratitude to all of our partners, just to affirm that we have to be vigilant in our efforts to resist and reject this un-American agenda by this hostile administration, and in vigorous defense of our shared values as a nation, and that's what this is about. I, unfortunately, have got to get to committee because I'm in the middle of markup votes, so I'm terribly sorry for that. But I thank all of my good colleagues and partners here in this fight, and I do also want to acknowledge some scholars from my district, the Boston Latin Ward Fellows, that are visiting. And we love the diversity of these young scholars, and just know that we are fighting for each and every one of you in the future that you deserve.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.